Most of my videos are designed to get you to become my next millionaire student, but what happens then? In this video, we're gonna go over the issues that a lot of my current millionaire students are dealing with. Check this out and get inspired, and also get educated. What's up, Tim Sykes, millionaire mentor and trader here. Very proud that I now have nearly 36 millionaires. If you click the link below, they've all come from my challenge. This is where you get all my DVDs, video lessons, webinars, special chat room, archived video lessons, archived webinars, new live webinars from me, and now several of my top millionaire students are giving webinars themselves, live trading and Q&A. So it's a great community. The interesting thing is I've worked so hard to create so many millionaire students. Understand, I have thousands of students. Less than 5% of them even bother studying. It's like a gym membership. Like 90% of people with a gym membership, they pay the gym membership fees. They don't go to the gym. Gyms would actually go out of business because they would be too crowded if everyone actually went to the gym, everyone who has a gym pass. So they rely on the laziness. With me, every single student can study. Every single student who pays has access. If you click the link below, it's up to you to study. I can't study for you. You can study at night, during the day, from anywhere in the world. All you need is internet access. But the interesting thing is now that I have nearly 36 millionaire students, which I didn't have a few years ago, I had like 5 or 6. It's like quintupled in the past 2 years, which is awesome. They're having issues too. Once you're a millionaire, it's not like all your problems just like melt away. You have new problems. As some rappers say, more money, more problems. Although I wouldn't go that far, I don't think they have as many problems. I would say more money, less problems. Issue number 1, dealing with their newfound wealth and trying to understand it. Because like me, nearly all of my millionaire students made millions within 1, 2, 3 years. It's not like they've been, studying and trading for like a decade and it's like 100,000 every year. Usually what happens is when you do cross the 7-figure, and now I have some students who cross 8 figures, which is awesome. When you cross these milestones is because you latch onto a hot trend. You find the process that works for you, like whether it's morning panic dip buys, multi-day breakouts, shorting first red days, but something where you're doing it over and over again. And it really can add up faster than you realize. Like the compounding effect is amazing, especially when you're taking bigger position sizes and you're like in a hot market, like a lot of people, did successfully from my challenge in 2020 and 2021. Because it happens so quickly, it's good, but it's bad because you're like, wait, I have too much money. I'm fortunate enough to be able to be their mentor to people. I never had any mentors. So when I first made $1 million, I was really confused. I became a philosophy major. That was like my therapy. So for me, I'm always trying to be the mentor to my students that I never had. But dealing with newfound wealth, you're not sure, like, do your friends trust you? Does your family, like, are they in it for the money? Like, there's a big drop in trust from people around you. And people start treating you differently. Like they want hot stock picks, they want money. You want to try to help them. You want to give them stock picks, but then if it doesn't go according to plan, like they hate you. And you're like, whoa, I'm just trying to help. Or like you give them money, but then they want more money, and you give them some money, but then you cut them off, then they're angry. Like there's no way to win when you start giving tips to like family members or friends or like money to family or friends. It always ends badly. So I don't even do that anymore. New millionaires, they don't know. They're enjoying their money. Spending too much, right? Like this is the second issue. Just dealing with it in a mindset kind of way, but then on a physical layer, like you can spend too much too quickly. Like this happens with a lot of like new rich athletes, entertainers, where they hit it big with like one song or one album or one movie, and they have like an entourage, like especially with athletes. Allen Iverson, how do you go broke after making hundreds of millions of dollars, you moron? It can happen because just as you make a lot of money and you compound the growth really quickly and it's nice, it's a slippery slope on the way down. You spend too much, you're like, oh, here's a car, I want to treat my parents, oh, let me get this house. 2 of my newest millionaire students specifically bought new houses. They were very excited, but then they didn't realize, wait a minute, I now have like these mortgage payments, I have responsibilities, the house value is not necessarily going up like they thought. They might have bid off more than they can chew, and now their trading account has decreased dramatically because they had to pay for their house, depending on, the financing. But when you have a smaller account, now you can't make as much. You don't think of that when you're spending all of this on a new house or a new car or treating your family. So for me, I actually didn't get my first Lamborghini until, like a decade after I became a millionaire. I didn't want to take money out of my account to pay for any luxury. And also, like, luxuries it's a double-edged sword. It's nice to get luxuries for your family, for yourself, but then you do have responsibilities. And it changes your mindset. Like for me, I always try to get my millionaire students to stay humble. If you ever see me congratulate any of my millionaire students on any of their big gains, or not even millionaire students, but upcoming students, I'm like, good job, just don't get cocky, stay humble. Issue number 3, I had this talk specifically with 2 of my top millionaire students. One has crossed 8 figures. Another one is like mid 7 figures, closing in on 4 million. And I said, be very careful because they're not spending that much. So they avoided that issue, but they're betting bigger with their trades. And just as it's a slippery slope where you can spend too much and it all goes away, when you're trying to grow your account, you're making 1,000, 5,000, maybe 10,000 here or there. And it's like step by step. When you start betting 1 million, 2 million, 3 million on one single trade, you can lose $500,000, $1 million very quickly. So it's like taking the stairway up step by step by step. It's a grind, but then it's the elevator down. And it's not even like a good elevator. It's like an elevator that like lost its hydraulics and it's just like crashing down. Very, very slippery slope if you trade too big and you get too cocky. This is why staying humble is so key. So just to review these 3 issues. Number 1, mental issues, like just trying to compartmentalize your newfound wealth and stay like okay with it and not be like, oh my God, this is crazy. Number 2, spending too much, giving money to others, giving tips to others, like just getting cocky. And then number 3, betting too big, not necessarily spending too much outside of the markets, but now betting too big, maybe using leverage, maybe getting too cocky because you've had so much success. You think that you're invincible. You're not. The 4th issue is also changing markets. 2020, 2021, amazing market. Like you could have pretty much bought anything, any shady little crypto, any shady little penny stock because people were getting stimulus checks. There was a quarantine. People are looking for, income. So the market was booming, especially the speculative market, which I focus on. 2022, the complete opposite. All the air came out of all the cryptos, all the shady OTCs. It fit my 7-step framework pretty perfectly. We had a classic number 3, 4 kinds of run-ups and crashes. Then a number 5, there was some dip buys, but then a number 6 and a number 7 and the long kiss goodnight. A lot of cryptos, a lot of OTCs down 90, 95%. So very proud of my millionaire students for the most part because they know the 7-step framework. I'll link the 7-step framework underneath. You should know it inside and out because it works crazy well. They didn't necessarily hodl too much and like watch as these things crashed and like lose 80, 90% of their money. Rule number 1 for me is always cut losses quickly. The problem is even if they didn't necessarily hodl, even if they didn't necessarily lose big, all the money that they made, or a lot of it, was in a hot market which no longer exists. And a lot of them can't deal with the fact that, if you polled all my 30 plus millionaire students, I would say more than half of them made less than like $200,000 in 2022, which again, on the whole is still fantastic. But when you go from making 500,000, 700,000, $1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, Jack Kellogg, 6 million, I'll give him props for that in 1 year. To make 100 or 200,000 is a major, major loss in their minds, even though they're still positive. Understand, for me, I have really good perspective because I've been doing this 2 decades. I made over $1 million each year, 2020 and 2021, my 2 best years ever in trading. 2022, I made roughly $100,000. The overall markets were down 20, 30%. I predicted the crash in 2021, so I protected everybody. But when you lose 90% of your income, you're like, what did I do wrong? You don't necessarily have the proper historical context. Even though I make videos like this, even though I warn everybody, they still can't believe it. They can't believe that they compounded their money so fast, and they can't believe that their earnings dropped so much. And as I said, over half of the new millionaire students made like 100 or 200,000. The other half either were break even or lost a little. Break even or like down 50 or 100,000. And like I'm getting messages from them where they're like, I don't know what to do. I'm blown up. And I'm just like, oh, you broke rule number one. And then they send me their Profitly and they're down like 30,000 or 50,000. But in their mind, they blew up because they're not making their newfound income that they thought would just come to them. FYI, when I first made nearly $1 million as a college freshman, it was all in the first 4 months when the NASDAQ went from 2,000 to 5,000 in the year 2000. And I'm extrapolating those 4 months. I'm like, if I make 700,000 every 4 months for the rest of my life, and I was a moron. I had no guidance. I had no historical context. I didn't know I was profiting from one of the biggest bubbles in history. I just knew that I made 700,000 as a college freshman while downloading illegal movies in Merc, and I got like 3 fake IDs taken away from me because I was so thin. No context whatsoever. So for me, when my students drop in income, I'm not worried because we just had another big bubble, and I go into like prevention. Like just don't blow up, don't bet too big, don't think that everything's gonna come back right away. Crypto people I can't help. Crypto people, NFT people, they deserve to lose everything. They were cocky, they didn't study the past. The dumbest people, the most irresponsible people I know made the most money in 2020 and 21 because they just hodled. But there's a saying, a fool and his money are soon parted. And that's what happened with a lot of crypto people and NFT people. It is the height of all stupidity and narcissism to make millions or tens of millions or, God forbid, billions, Michael Saylor, and not take any profits because you think that Bitcoin is going to change the world. I hope it does change the world. But as of right now, Bitcoin's #1 case study usage is that every single shady person in the world uses Bitcoin. All my internet scammers, all my imposters use Bitcoin. Congrats, Bitcoin. You've united all the world's criminals under one currency because there's less repercussions because it's such gray area. And issue number 5 that my millionaire students have, they don't know what to do. And this can be a good thing or a bad thing, but it's an issue. They don't know whether to bet big. They don't know whether to bet small. They don't know whether to spend a lot. They don't know whether to travel. They're very confused. It's crazy to say, but it's confusing to make 7 figures when you have like a few $1,000s to your name previously and you never had millions and no one in your life really has millions. This is why my teachings are so important. I've been through this, like I said, and I was young when it happened too. It's not a coincidence that the vast majority of my new millionaire students are in their early 20s. They put in the most time to study. They got into my challenge. They studied all my DVDs, video lessons, webinars. They're studying the market too. They're obsessed with their education. Older people, even if they do join my challenge, even if they do study a little bit, they can't bet that big. They can't afford to put in that much time. They have families, they have responsibilities. If they make like $500, they think about what the $500 means in the real world, so they don't want to bet bigger. New millionaire challenge students who were like 22, 23, 24, which is like the majority of my new students who crossed over $1 million, they don't know the difference between 500 or 5,000. That helped them in trading because it was a video game and they could bet bigger in compound, but it's a double-edged sword. Now they literally don't know how much to spend. They don't know what to do. Forget about spending too much. Forget about treating others. They're very confused. Again, mo money, mo problems from a rapper standpoint, but they're absolute morons. It's mo money, new problems. That's the reality. So even when you do cross over $1 million, it's not like, okay, I'm going to kick you out, never talk to you again. I'm in this to try to mentor you every step of the way because I've been there. If you ask me how to make $1 billion, I have no idea. I've never made $1 billion. I never will. I'm always going to donate too much to charity. I'm always going to teach. I don't see any invention in the horizon getting people to actually study to be more successful. I'm trying to teach discipline to degenerates, which is not a good business model. It's a very frustrating business model, but I love it. So if you do click the link below and join my challenge, I'm going to guide you every step of the way. Remember, I had no mentor. I had no teacher. There's people out there who claim to be. No, you weren't, okay? The reason why we created Profitly, because I was on this website where everyone showed their entries and they never showed their exits. That's not trading. That's called pumping. Atlas Trading recently got arrested for lying about their trades. For me, I might not be the best trader. I often exit too quickly, but you see my trades for better or worse, and I can teach you the process. And if you do study enough, and if you do participate in some market bubble, or if we're dead on about a sector or pattern, and you do become a millionaire or multimillionaire, I'm not kicking you out. I'm going to still try to guide you. The funny thing is, and I'm going to do another video on this in a bit, what some of my millionaire students think of me after they make over $1 million. And that's a very interesting video. But that's a separate video. This one is all about just issues. So I want you to understand your life won't be perfect if you make $1 million or 10 million like two of my students now have. And actually another one who's on his way, but he doesn't want to be public, which is fine. That's another issue, privacy. If you do want to be private, I understand. I prefer that you show every trade transparently, but once you start talking about a lot of money, I know people in your life can get weird, so I respect that. That's not one of these 5 issues. But I'm always here to guide my students. I want the best for my students. That's what any good teacher should do, especially when you're passionate. And for me, it's my honor to teach these students every single thing I've learned every step of the way. And you might not agree with it. I might be wrong sometimes. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to help you based on my own experience. And that's me teaching something that I know very well. Me being the mentor to people that I never had. This is why I got into teaching, because I don't know anybody else who made $1 million or more very quickly and then is willing to break down the whole process. And then also break down the process even after you make $1 million. So that's what I'm here for. Utilize my experience. I can help speed up your learning curve, and I can help try to protect you. And I'm very proud of the fact that even though my new millionaire students have issues, 2022 was arguably one of the worst years in stock market history, especially for the 60-40 portfolio, which is supposedly safer with stocks and bonds, which in previous years, it was never down more than like 3-4% on the worst years. 2022 was down nearly 20%. So it was like 5 times as bad of a market as anyone thought would be possible. That's a very conservative portfolio, losing nearly 20%. The average retail trading account, there's different studies, but one study says the average account was down 35%. Another one said the average trading account was down 44%. If you're in crypto, you're probably down 80 or 90%. It was a terrible, terrible year for most people. So even though I had a 90% drop in income, I still finished green on the year in trading. I actually lost money teaching. That's another video too. Contrary to popular belief, I don't always make money teaching. There's a lot of expenses being real. If I was fake, I wouldn't necessarily have all these expenses. But I don't mind losing a little. I don't mind making a little. It's all about staying in the game, having the right mindset, and then trying to be there to really capitalize when there are better opportunities. If you click the link below, you can watch a video with my expectations for 2023. And I do believe 2023 will be a better year. But congrats again to all my new millionaire students. They're dealing with issues just like everybody else, although their issues are more pleasant. So I encourage you to become my next millionaire student. It's gonna happen if you study hard enough, if you're disciplined, if you click the link below and join my challenge. I can't guarantee you that you're gonna be my next millionaire, but I guarantee you that I'm gonna teach you everything I know, and that can only help you. This is your siren. This is your wake-up call. Are they gonna hear the siren?